What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Emerald Grappling Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Murphy. Today, it's a special episode. It's the 2-year anniversary, so episode 24, and I'm delighted to be joined by two of my coaches from Lakeland Jiu Jitsu, RUAIRI KEENA and Dave Hynes. For anyone who doesn't know the lads, Rory is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and Dave is a brown belt. They've been pillars here in the gym for as long as I remember. From when I came to the gym first, they were always here offering me advice and helping me along the way. So it's an absolute honor to actually have them on the podcast. So gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. I'm your biggest fanboy, so this is all for me.
Perfect. We'll get you some merch next time and we'll get it ready. So
Text you what every week or so, is it?
yeah, every few weeks I'll just get a message from Dave. So when are we getting t-shirts or hoodies? But that's in the pipeline. It's in the pipeline.
Tremendous.
But gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I've been really looking forward to this all week. I'm always picking your brains anyway on the side of the mats whenever I'm there talking with you, whether it's takedowns with you, Rory, whether it's loop chokes or cross-collar chokes with you, Dave. So having the opportunity to actually sit down, get like a history lesson on the club in front of the cameras and the microphones, I had to ask you to come on, especially because it's the 2-year episode, and I'm like, yeah, gotta get the boys on. So thank you.
Huge honor for us as
Can't do that hard for you.
okay, huge honor for me.
There we go. Anyway, to kick things off, I always ask my guests, for anyone who might know you, maybe you could tell us about yourself, how you got started in jiu-jitsu, and I suppose because it's the two of you, maybe you can give us a bit of a background on how the club started.
Yeah, I think our sort of jiu-jitsu story will sort of tail into the history of the club as well. So for me, it started off officially in 2009. A friend saw a poster for something called submission grappling in a bookshop and that's the details. Mullingar Grappling, went on down. I met Pat Connell, Christian Finn, Kevin Durkin, and I've never looked back since.
I don't have Rory's recollection for dates or times, but I'd started doing Muay Thai in Mullingar at one stage. They were sharing a location with Pat and Rory and the guys, and I was looked over going, God, that looks like real fighting. Must try that sometime. But I think I went off and trained in a couple of different places, and I'd lived in Dublin for a while, so I'd been to different gyms. And when I came back to Mullingar, I think I messaged Pat one evening and expecting it would be like a couple of weeks to hear back, and yeah, I'll come down, next weekend or whatever. And I just finished a massive feed of, Mammy's Best Dinner, and I get a text going, oh yeah, we're just training tonight now in about 40 minutes, do you want to drop along? And I was like, absolutely. And it was like something like Neon Belly, so it was a memorable moment for me to start training with these guys.
Damn. And how long ago was that when you first started? Like, you've been training since 2009, you're probably roughly around the same. What was the early days like for you?
Well, for me, it sort of started in probably 2005. I started doing my first grappling. I met a Lithuanian chap called Remus, and he was an army champion in their version of MMA. And so he showed me some mad stuff. They were kind of like Sambo with the kimono and the fingerless gloves. So he showed me some mad throws and Kani Basami and stuff like that. But we had a place called Fight Club. It's a bit of a legendary spot now. It comes back into the story later on. It was
I remember those gloves.
Yeah, it was a spare industrial unit, a kind man let us use. Won't give a location exactly, but just if you're in the department store or the men's department of some large stores in Mullingar, you may be below the hallowed ground of Fight Club. Yeah, but we started training there on scraps of carpet and some mats we got from Mullen Sports in Dublin. Just 9 basic jigsaw mats, and learned some grappling there. There's mostly kickboxing, throwing people, and shoot box type stuff.
Yeah.
And then, like as I said, I got word that there was actually a grappling club in town, and went on down, met the boys, and Tyrone had been training there for 2 weeks prior to me. So we haven't looked back since. We've been doing some form of grappling ever since. And Dave came into the story then around that time, 2009.
2009. Yeah, I'd been doing a bit of Thai boxing, a bit of back then it was MMA. It was an eerie interpretation of MMA training by today's standards, but it was a lot of fun. And yeah, in that, I think we're still calling it Fight Club.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant place to train. You'd come in, you could hit a personal record in weightlifting. You could learn some new jiu-jitsu technique. You could do some kickboxing. You could get a concussion. You could get all of them at one time in the class. It was brilliant. It was the best start, I think, you could get in martial arts, but maybe not best tailored for student retention. So I think it down selected for a certain bunch of guys that enjoyed that sort of stuff and got on really well with each other, and like we still talk to everyone that was there at the start, which is like, I don't know how many years ago. You're saying 19 years?
Yes,
you know.
But look, the club that we were in, Pat's club, Mullingar Grappling, we lost the premises about a year into our tenure there. So the only place we had to train was Fight Club. So the core guys, the coaches, so Pat, Tyrone, Christian, myself, and then Dave and Ronan joined us later. We trained this mad industrial unit on carpet, and actually Pat acquired some judo mats after a while, so we had pretty decent setup eventually. But yeah, that was for a few years, that was our refuge, and every Wednesday and Monday, I think, we'd be training.
Yeah.
It wasn't very structured training, it was more sparring and grappling, or a bit stuck in Dave's closed guard for an hour or something. Yeah. That was what we did, but we got very tough and very fit, at least. Yeah. And I think we all bonded quite well. Like, it was, you were only there if you wanted to be there. It was hardcore guys, you know?
Yeah. So that was like the catalyst for what would become Lakeland then. And then how did you transition from going from like the Fight Club to Mullingar Grappling to what Lakeland is today?
Well, we lost our premises as well, unfortunately, for insurance reasons, obviously. There were no bodies, but a few injuries, so that got back to the guys who owned it, so we had to vacate. So for maybe a year and a half, we were dormant. And we just saw that there's a bit of groundswell in the interest in jiu-jitsu through UFC, and Conor McGregor started making a name for himself. So we said, why don't we go back? Like, we love doing this. There's people in town who love to train. Let's do it. So we got a little space in a CrossFit gym in town, thanks to Wayne Healy, the coach there. And we relaunched, and I think we just hit the crest of the wave. Like, McGregor was becoming famous.
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu itself was really expanding. Actually, it was an interesting figure, the 2014 Irish Open, remember?
Yes.
There were more white belts in 2014, I think, than there were competitors the previous year. So this massive spike suddenly.
That was the first tournament I did. Yeah, it was tremendous. It was out in is it Tala?
I think it's Tala, yeah.
The one with the big, really cool wooden roof. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, great tournament.
But yeah, so we sort of caught that wave and sort of went from strength to strength on the back of it.
Yeah.
And probably 2 years into that, then we had no affiliation. So, and the guys had Pat, Christian, Kevin and Tyrone, of course, was training SVG. He ties back to SVG HQ, and it made sense for us to affiliate with them, so we could start awarding people belts and competing under our own banner as well, you know. So we after a couple of years, I think 2015, we became Mullingar Grappling. Oh, sorry, Mullingar Grappling became SVG Mullingar for a few years, and then eventually, like, we went our own way in 2019, became Lakeland, but in the intervening years, we had partnered with Alan McCormick, striking coach, and Danny Nealon, or Danny McCormick now, from Relentless Martial Arts. So we had a good few years as partners with them. And but like, at the moment, we're independent, we're our own thing, and we were happy that way. So that was a brief history of Lakeland.
Nice. Yeah.
We've reached our final form.
Yeah.
We hope anyway.
This is the evolution. Yeah. So when I first came training with Yi back in the day, when I first started, I was working in Mullingar, and you were in the old unit, and you were still SPG Mullingar at the time. And I remember coming down, and I did a few classes. One of the first classes was with Tyrone, and there was like I always remember the size of that mat space was huge.
Yeah, it was massive, yeah.
It was so cold.
It was so cold.
So cold.
Break a toe, you wouldn't realise until you went home.
Absolutely. And I remember my second class, it was during the winter and on, and it was actually a class with you, Dave, and you were going over triangles, and it was that so cold. Like, everyone had socks on the mats and everything. Then obviously I was still training in Longford at the time. Then the Longford club, when COVID hit, kind of, like, disappeared at the time. And then I remember Chris Klein had messaged Tyrone and like, are you training? And was like, yeah, come on up. And then I think nearly a majority of Longford just got absorbed into Lakeland, and that's where we've been since, really.
Yeah. We got some key members of the team from Longford, yeah. And it's been a good partnership over the years. And I know Shawnee's got the gym down in Longford now, but we do collaborate quite closely. We consider them a sister club, I guess. Yeah, brother club, whatever.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Shawnee's going to be gunning for you after this episode.
We're always firing shots at Shawnee.
And back in the early days, obviously, like now we've Tyrone, yourself, you're a black belt. We've a few black belts now in the club. What was like motivation like back then? Because as you were saying, you were unaffiliated at the time. You weren't like, it was kind of hard, would it be, to gauge like your progress or where you were standing. So what was the motivation behind all that at the time?
It was more of a club back then. Like we were white belts, coaching white belts. We'd been around much longer than that, but because we didn't have any affiliation, there was no way to progress in the belt system. But it was like white belts coaching white belts. We'd been around for a bit of time before that. We had some techniques, but to kind of move ahead, we had to affiliate with someone. Yeah, so that's where the loose affiliation with John Kavanagh and SBG came from. It was a way for us to progress through the ranks, because Tyrone had the relationship with John training in SBG. When I'd moved to Dublin, I went to train in SBG as well. It was an easier way to progress through the ranks then, but back then it was difficult to judge how you're progressing, you know. I think competition was probably the best way, and that's probably why we had such a focus on getting a team out to the competitions, was just to see how we're getting on and see how the techniques that we were working on compared regionally with everyone else who was doing the same thing.
Yeah, we gave our students something in for as well, like as a retention tool. Like it's, you know, there's a mystique to the belts, but it also is a retention tool. Like you stay to get your stripes, get your blue belt. But and if we hadn't done it, someone else would have done it eventually in town.
Yeah.
Like Nuno came to town after a few years, and his black belt, he could have set up his own gym and had gis and belts and promotion and affiliation, but we had to do something. And like it was good for our own sake as well. Like we had been training a long time, and it wasn't fair for us to be presenting ourselves as white belts really. Like in my first competition, I was at a white belt, but I went into the blue belt division because it just wasn't right. So, so like I say, it's a retention tool. It gives people a structure, make them feel part of something bigger, that had a career path there in jiu-jitsu, you know.
And was there a time where you were thinking to yourselves, obviously this is probably before you had the affiliation, like, is the club going to stay? Because you did mention it went dormant for a year. Was there that fear there that like, oh, this could actually be gone tomorrow?
I think we always knew we'd come back. Yeah, like we loved it too much. Like you wouldn't do what we're doing, train where we were in the way we were, if you didn't love it. Like it was in our blood at that stage. So yeah, we knew we'd come back eventually. It was just a question of, like, we were all working in our families and stuff. We find a time, find a place, and then like get the people in. But as it turned out, people came. We had really big classes immediately, and it's gone from strength to strength in that respect as well. But yeah, a couple of times, like then maybe when we made the leap to the big gym that you first joined, we had a cool little place in Spetwell Lane in Mullingar, and I think we would have stayed there happy enough. We would have invested in it.
On mature reflection, it would have been.
Yeah, but it was a good spot. And this Al and Danny at the time, they wanted to go bigger. They were doing really well to get lots of members in. So we said we'd go along, we'll open a big place and we'll see what happens. But then we won't delve too much into the politics of it, but at that point we found out we had to start paying large affiliation fees to SBG, and it came at a bad time for us. We had just moved to big premises. There was an outlay. We were actually paying some of the rent and utilities ourselves out of our own pocket because we didn't quite have the momentum at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a big hit, and was probably the second time in our history when we could have gone bust. Just the financial pressure and the organizational pressure was too much for us as part-timers. But then that solved itself. Tyrone came back and went full-time, and we also went independent. So from there on, it's been pretty good.
And was it true the SPG affiliate that you met Tom?
Yes.
Tom King.
Yeah, I should have mentioned Tom as well. Like he's been so good to us. Like he's been a mentor to us since maybe 8-9 years now, I think. Oh yeah, I think it's 9 years. Yeah, he guided us through the whole process. It was very traumatic. Like we had this big affiliation and we were happy we were contributing, we're part of the team, and then have it sort of go a bit south on us. It was tough for me, especially. I was sort of dealing with the behind the scenes negotiations of it, and Tom was a real help for me, and from a sporting point of view as well. Like you couldn't have a better guy as your figurehead, as your mentor.
I think he really got what we were about as well. We as I was saying, like we were a club. That's what we wanted. We wanted people here to train jiu-jitsu. We wanted friends and bodies to train jiu-jitsu with. It wasn't so much about running a business.
It's not a commercial enterprise, the first piece. It's a club and it's a band of brothers, I guess.
And I think our philosophies were not in line, but like I think Tom King was, as you said, very instrumental in kind of providing that guidance, and he was really in it for the sport of jiu-jitsu. I remember at that stage I was training in SBG, and they had like a pricing structure for the various grades that you go through. And he was down doing a seminar here. He's like, "Why aren't you in my class?" And I was like, "Oh, I just haven't signed up for the next, portion of that access," because it was kind of run as a true business there. And he's like, "Don't mind that now, just come on in." So I think I was the only white belt in the class, and no word of a lie would get bet from one end of the mat to the other. Just loved it. Probably back to the grounding in jiu-jitsu I got through Mullingar Jiu Jitsu. It was I didn't mind the sort of the hardship that came with it, but I think Tom really got what we were trying to do here. It was love of the sport. It was get a club going. It wasn't about becoming, financially independent through jiu-jitsu. It was about finding somewhere to train, making friends, and competing as well. So yeah, he was tremendous.
The right guy at the right time. It's worked out really well for us. And like he's given me my black belt, and Brendan Linden as well. He given Dave's black belt at some point, I'm sure, as well. And Tyrone, of course, yeah. So it's like for foreseeable future. Like I said, Tom, after the last one, I said, it doesn't matter how many black belts we have in this gym, he'll always be coming down to us. We'll have something to look forward to every year that Tom's going to come visit us. So yeah, he's the best.
I was actually watching one of the shorts he put up of his last tournament about the kind of the guard pull that he did, and I was dissecting. I was like, yeah, I can't wait for the next seminar now. I get him to go over that again. Yeah.
Sneaky 2 points.
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yep. Didn't he do the last seminar
He
here?
did.
He taught that.
I was out.
You were sidelined.
And one of my many sidelines at the time, so I was watching. I was like, call that now. I have to get him to do that again. It was tremendous.
And funny enough, that actually kind of bridgeways into the next question that I have, because I know, Dave, you've had a few injuries over the years, and obviously the one we just mentioned there, you were off for the last grading, but you had an ACL injury.
Yeah.
Like, probably the worst injury in our sport that you could possibly get.
I would disagree. Now, I've probably spent as much time off the mats with injuries as I have spent on the mats training. The one I did before the ACL, I blew out 2 discs on my back, L4, L5, and L5, S1. I think that's the right designation. I was doing a Turkish get-up. Things were going very well for me. I was competing really regularly. I was starting to kind of win the tournaments that I was entering. And I was thinking, God, this is going so well. I better start doing some preventative maintenance. And I was doing some Turkish get-ups with a weight that I was not ready for. And I blew out those discs, and that was the most unpredictable and I don't know if traumatizing is the right word to use, but the most traumatizing injury I've had. And when I had the ACL tear and the repair, talking with the surgeon about the process to repair it and rehab it, I was like, oh, that sounds very mechanically understandable. You're going to cut this bit out, drill this bit in, and I just need to do these things and these milestones and I'll be back. So I know in jiu-jitsu it's like, oh God, you tear your ACL, it's terrible. So anytime I hear someone tear an ACL, I say, look, it's a bad injury, but it's not actually that bad. It's very predictable. If you've got a wife and kids and a job, it'll probably take you this long. But like if you're in your 20s without kids, you'll be back in some fashion in 6 months, 9 months. Yeah. So I won't take up too much of the podcast talking about the various injuries I've had. But when I'm coaching now, I try to share some of the things I've learned through having the injuries and coming back from them, and hopefully people learn from my mistakes and not through their own, But yeah, ACL, not that bad. Discs, terrible. A funny story was, I think it was during COVID when the Emerald Cup came back, and we did the Emerald Cup, and I think they had so many people enter the competition, that they ran out of medals. So we were up on the podium, and after a hard-fought tournament, like, oh great, here's the medal, fantastic. And afterwards they took the photos. They're like, oh, can we have the medals back, please? I was like, excuse me, what? I'm sorry.
My
Kid.
cold dead hands.
Yeah, I'm not fighting for my life for this thing here. And it's like, yeah, no, we'll take your name and your number and your address and we'll post you out. We're short of medals. We didn't expect so many people to compete. I was like, oh my God, yeah, no problem, no worries, cool. Just happy to have done the tournament. It was kind of during COVID time, so happy to get out doing anything
Is
really.
that the outdoor one?
No, that was the one in, I think it was in Gormanstown.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Really well run tournament. They run a good tournament. Really enjoyed that. But that happened. That was a tournament, and then I blew out the discs, so I was unable to get off the ground for a lot of it. I was really uncertain. Like I was like, God, I'd be happy to be walking properly, let alone doing jiu-jitsu. Now I managed to get back in about 6 months, just through conservative management of it, like weights and exercising. But like I went down the rabbit hole reading every bit of literature I could get, every book I could get on. And a lot of the early stuff was pointing towards surgery. I was like, oh, I don't want to go under the knife for something like this. I started to see some of the new literature was like, hey, conservative management, and they're able to see now with MRIs that things can go back in of their own accord. But I was going through this process anyway. I was doing the exercises 3-4 times a day, still, in bits, not able to sit, I'm a big gamer, not able to play the PlayStation. I couldn't sit like this, in this hinged position. So there was no PlayStation at the time. It was a very, very dark time. But I was making slow progress, but I was making progress. But I was working from home at the time, and I was going, God, this is not great. Like it seems to be slow going. Some days are good, some days are bad. And I was probably at a bit of a low point. I wouldn't really get that affected by things like this, but I was at a low point. I was like, this is not great. And then the ding dong, the doorbell goes. And I hobble out to the front door, and there's a courier there and hands me a box. I was like, oh, but heavy there. And I get back in and I open it up, and it was the medal. It was the medal from the tournament. And I was like, okay, I'm not a religious or superstitious guy, but this is a sign to keep going, So yeah, the discs I find were the worst injury. The ACL, very sore. Definitely there's a lot spoken about ACL injuries, but like from my experience at least, it wasn't actually that bad. It was sore but predictable, So I'd encourage anyone who is listening and gets an ACL injury, look, just get the surgery. There's a bit of time. Depending on your circumstances, you might be able to recover very, very quickly, or it might take a little bit longer. I took longer. On purpose, I chose to do that. I came back coaching within about maybe 6 months of it. But going through positions that I could control with a good partner that I could demonstrate the moves with in a kind of a predictable fashion. But I took longer to come back to more active and resistance-based stuff. But now it's actually my good knee. I don't even think, I'll jump in and I'll hop on that one before I go on the other one, So yeah, if you're listening, ACLs, not great. Don't injure them, but like it's not the career ender that it used to be,
It's funny when you mentioned about coming back from the ACL injury. I remember a few times I was training and you were on the spin bike across, and you were telling me you're doing crazy mileage every single day.
Don't ask him his nickname for the bike.
I won't.
That's the spin bike. The assault bike is the nickname, an appropriate one. I'm after buying one there actually recently. They're so good.
For obviously the recovery for coming back from ACL, you were saying like it took you such an amount of time. Other people can do certain things. So what's like the rehabilitation process like for that? Is it like a lot of strength and conditioning? Is it like resistant band stuff, or what's that process like?
It's all of that and a little bit more. And I think a big bit for me was the mental part of it. I spoke with my surgeon, and I'd injured my meniscus. You did the same injury as well. I think we both did pretty much the same.
Year, 6 months.
Pretty much the same operation. And same guy I went back to, and he just explained it all to me. He said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to cut this bit out. Like they took a slice from your shin and your patella tendon and your patella, and then they drill up through your shin bone, through your knee, and they come out through your quad. And then he was explaining it like that movie, like, explain to me like you would a child or a golden retriever. I was the golden retriever in the situation. He goes, so what we do is we put it on a big knitting needle, and then we pull it out through your leg, and we put it in place, and we'd stick 2 screws in, and he had a little model on the table. He goes, and it's all very sound, but he goes, you're going to have to get comfortable with bending it again, take an impact again. And he goes, look, the bike is your best friend. He goes, I don't get off the bike. I love the bike. Suggest you get a bike. So I'd heard bike enough times in this conversation that I go, must get a bike. So I bought a bike. The bike's still in my shed. And day one, when I got home, I got on the bike, probably maybe a little bit early. They give different guidance to different people. Like I didn't have a brace on after the surgery. And when I woke up, I had a stitch here. I didn't realize that they pulled the knitting needle out through there, basically. And I was like, why do I have a stitch here? Did you cut me by mistake? And he goes, no, that's part of the procedure. I was like, why don't I have a brace? And he goes, oh, you're a bit older. We trust that,
You're going to do it.
You're going to do it, but you're not going to do anything stupid. And I was like, do you not know why I'm here? But yeah, pretty much day one, I got out on the bike. I put the saddle to the highest setting. So my leg was pretty much straight. I would just spin a little bit just to force a little bit of movement back into the joint. And every day I drop it down by a couple of millimeters until I had like a full bend in my knee. And they give you like band work to do. And it progresses through hopping and bouncing and kind of tapping on it to squatting and deadlifting. So my shed is designed now as a jiu-jitsu mats, but also like rehab scenario. So I have a bike, I have an assault bike, and I have an Olympic weight set now right there as well, which is fantastic. So I think we're probably going to talk about strength and conditioning for jiu-jitsu athletes. This might be a perfect segue into it. If you haven't started now, start doing some basic lifts, squats, deadlifts, bench press. They'll increase your longevity. I found coming back from the many injuries, I'd do all the rehab, I'd come back nearly better than when I left it, because you've got the kind of the physical benefits of the weight training behind you, and then over time you just slip back into the fun stuff of jiu-jitsu, rolling and forget about the weightlifting. You've probably done the same thing as well now. So after my many forays into injuries and comebacks, now it's just part of daily life. I get out to the shed a couple of times a week and do a couple of compound movements, squats, deadlifts, bench press. I try to keep it simple, but all derivatives of what I was doing as part of the ACL recovery. But can't stress can't stress it enough. It's a predictable enough process if you follow it. You just need to have that bit of cop on at the end, not to do something too soon. The cutting and torquing movements. That was the bit I struggled with. I make poor decisions when it comes to athletics and jiu-jitsu and stuff. I usually do things too soon or too fast or too much. If you can manage that, it's a really predictable injury to come back from. Just stage it. And then when you do come back to jiu-jitsu, just pair up with someone that knows what's going on. Don't be afraid to say, look, I'm coming back from X, Y, or Z. Please don't heel hook or knee bar me or do anything too crazy. And everyone in the gym was brilliant. I think Adam Lockery became the default uki for the class, because he got it. He was a fantastic training partner anyway, but he was brilliant to kind of work around my limitations at the time as well. Yeah.
And for your first rollback, was there, obviously there probably was a bit of fear there, like what if something goes wrong? And what was that like? Were you kind of anxious to do it, or was there a bit of hesitation?
By the time I came to the ACL, I'd done the discs and come back from the discs, which I think for me that was the worst injury I've ever had. I'd never wish it on my worst enemy. So I kind of knew that as long as you stick within the parameters of what you said you were going to do, it should be okay. I stuck to close guard, half guard, which is my game now. I stuck to those sort of positions because I knew they were predictable, controllable. They didn't put torque on my knee in any meaningful ways, and it was okay coming back from the ACL. The discs, that one was so unpredictable. The recovery curve was like this. It kind of nearly went down and then it just peaked back up. And I when I speak about making bad decisions, within 6 months of blowing it out, I did the Paris Open, and I was keenly aware they didn't have someone in the heavyweight division, so I fought in the open weight division. And the guy was 2 or 3 weight classes above me, he was ginormous. And I think I shot it in a single, and I was just under, he'd sprawled, and I was under him, and I still had his leg. And I was thinking in my head, during the match, I was like, well, you know now that the back will hold up. That the whole process getting back to the match was just really about just getting basic conditioning back and getting the weight back in order to compete at heavyweight. It wasn't really hard rounds or anything that would have tested out the back fully. So I was testing it out in a match. But yeah, so keenly aware that was not the best way to go for certain injuries. So every time I come back, I try to kind of learn from my past mistakes, and the ACL was fairly predictable. The most recent thing I'm struggling with now is a bad dose of myocarditis. It's a inflammatory thing that can happen to your heart after getting a virus, or I think COVID causes it, and vaccines can cause it as well. I got it from my son. He just brought home a small childhood virus, and it absolutely knocked me for six. I was sitting at the kitchen table after calling off work for 2 days, talking to my wife about like all these various symptoms I had. And I was like, I know each one of them is explicable. Like, I have a torn rotator cuff. That's why my shoulder is sore, my left shoulder. But as I stack them all together, I go, it sounds like a heart attack. I'm going to go and get checked. Into the hospital, like, looks like you could be taking a heart attack, mate. So that was a whole saga. So I'm using all the previous injury learnings and comebacks to jiu-jitsu to manage this one now. So this is probably the important one to get right. I'm back far quicker than the doctors would have said was recommended. But I'm working with a really good cardiologist who's giving good advice. But like, the standard advice is from when it happens, and I had a particularly bad dose of it. I think like a bad dose is like, there's a thing they can measure troponin, is like 3,000 is bad. Mine was 30,000. So like, I've scarring all over my heart now as a result of it. But they were saying, do nothing for 3 to 6 months. Walking is the most you should do. And I'm like, I make poor decisions. That's not going to stack up to how I like to do things. And I got back, again, working with my cardiologist, got back weightlifting in December, got back coaching jiu-jitsu in January. I'm doing rounds now with guys that'll kind of take care of me and not beat me up too much. But yeah, that's what I'm dealing with now.
The roller coaster.
Victory.
Yeah, that's it now. I think I'm finally coming to grips with making poor decisions and training and competing. I think I love the matches, and I've not competed in so long. So I was trying to get back to do the grappling industries in November when this thing happened. So I was peak fitness. Well, for me at least, I could see a 4-pack. For me that's fantastic. Heavyweight with a 4-pack. I was like, fantastic. This thing hit me. I was probably in the best condition that you could be in when something like that happens. So working back from that now, on the mend. But yeah, utilizing all the learnings from the previous ones and hopefully trying to transmit some of them through the coaching as well. Like, I think I'm unable to do it. I can barely learn from my own mistakes, but they say the mark of, good learning has been able to learn from others' mistakes. So hopefully in the foundations classes here in Lakeland, people are going, maybe I should respect lockdown and not let someone tear my ACL. Yeah. maybe I shouldn't just jump back from an injury into hard rounds.
All right. So coming back from those injuries, did you have to modify your game? Like, because you were saying about the takedowns, is that something now you're just like going to actively avoid, just pull guard?
I avoided that because it was so dynamic with the ACL at the start. The next phase of our foundation cycle, so we run like a big intake for beginners. We advertise it. We kind of give them the 8 or the 12 weeks basics of jiu-jitsu, and then with the retention from that, we keep them in the foundation cycle and focus on topics for a couple of weeks at a time. The next thing I'm thinking is collar drags. So I'm perfectly happy with the knee now, but it took a while of picking the right techniques and knowing your limitations, and it's really molded my game now. You're asking, how did it change your game? Like, each injury has taught me which ones you should listen to and which ones you just need to train through. And they've all changed my game. Like the rotator cuff, I don't give an underhook on this side. Like, I just keep this thing welded to me. So each kind of injury changes how you play the game slightly. But I think it makes it more interesting. You're carrying this limitation, but there's so much other things that you can do in jiu-jitsu that'll keep you moving and keep you effective. But yeah, the dynamic stuff at the start of the ACL, kind of respect that. But once you commit and do the work, like as I said, this is my good knee now. I'm happier to bounce in this one than the other one.
Bad one.
The bad one, yeah. But yeah, what about you? You've had a few dings as well.
Yeah, my only surgery I've had is meniscus. I said it was 2016. We both had surgery for meniscus, which is great crack. Otherwise, it's just been really niggly, annoying, long-term, annoying injuries. But nothing heroic or spectacular like Dave. But
Yeah, long-term
And
disabilities now.
It's my AC joint injury here currently on your couch. But yeah, like,
I'm just going to say what this, but
crocs together. So we're symmetry crocs, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you do, like for far too many years, like I was deep into the defensive posture stuff, which was just very handy for keeping everything safe, all the dodgy shoulder injuries, breach stuff, and yeah, it definitely does. It molds your game, and the stuff like actually early on in my career, I got stacked really badly in a triangle by a big Polish dude, and tore muscles in the back of my neck. Ever since, I've been very, very worried about doing any spinning inverted stuff. So my game is all top game and pressure and staying away from the 4 dimensions, you know.
I'd be the same as you. Yeah, same philosophy.
Yeah, because both of you are known for like your really heavy pressure grinding like style of jiu-jitsu. Like anytime I roll with you, Dave, I know if you get anyway in the top position, I'm done. And then Rory, if I hear the word knee right around you, it's the most horrific thing possible. My ribs start to quiver in like fear. But was that something that you always had from day one, or was it something that you kind of like gravitated towards or developed, or?
For me, actually, I credit to John Cabinet with this. First seminar I ever did was with John, and I was only trained about maybe a month and a half or so. Came down to Mullingar Grappling, and this smaller guy than me, but the pressure was crazy. He felt like 100 kilos. It's like, how did I learn this magic power? So I spent the next few years trying to hone my own ability to do so. I think I've succeeded pretty well.
Yes, you have.
It's just like people say, you want to use your secondary school physics in real life, or you will. Pressure equals force over area. Or force equals pressure over area. God damn it. That part. So there you go. Happy kids makes your brain mush. Right?
It does.
Well, yeah, well, it's something I enjoy doing. I probably don't do it as much as I used to because people don't like it. I don't like do it in the gym. I sort of softened a bit over the years. It used to be my go-to thing to give a knee right into the chest or the armpit or something. But not anymore, really. Try to keep it flowy. But yes, it's something I use more so to maybe pass guard now. Put a bit of pressure into the guards, fix the hips and the frames in place and work your angles, you know. Instead of use it just for fun, for seeing people's grimaces. Yeah, no, it's an essential part of your kit. Like you have to be able to apply weight, especially for smaller people. Like you don't have the muscles or the weight to work with. And I wasn't singing out Aaron, but no, but it's something like it. And like Rachel was probably our smallest member ever. She's 48 kilos at one time, and she could actually apply pressure because she knew she had to use every ounce of her weight, you know. So I try to tell the smaller folks, the younger people, don't waste any pressure in the mats. The mats can't feel a thing. Your opponent can.
There's probably a physics equation there for most effectivity from mass. You know, she was tiny but brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, gave guys her size and much bigger a really hard time in the mats. Like, and seeing her compete was fantastic. You know,
Yeah, she would have been her first female blue belt, but she retired early. But
still in the big friend group though. Like, you know, we started like this whole thing as a club, and that mentality is kept with us the entire time. Like, I was out with Pat Connell this morning, who
our original coach.
You know. So I don't know how long we've known each other. More than 15 years. Still great friends. You know, and this is what we want out of the gym. This is what we always wanted. Is like a place where people come in and learn the techniques and have fun and do the competitions. But like you meet like-minded people, you know,
You get to squish them.
and you get to squish them. You get beaten up by them as well at the same time. But yeah, I kind of like the grinding top pressure game as well. I did Thai boxing and bits of kickboxing and MMA, like again back in the day. So like artist interpretation of you know,
Very rudimentary.
rudimentary, yeah, exactly. And I always felt like God, if I ever had to use this to defend myself, it still seems so unpredictable. You know, I can, like when I started Thai boxing, I could throw head kicks from day one, and then I struggled with the actual boxing part of it and blocking punches. Like, and the concept of actually hitting on the pads was one thing, and then trying to do it in sparring, I was like, oh my God. And then it took me, again, this is back in the day. So my first class was in Thai boxing was clinching and knees, and then my second class was sparring. So I'll never forget the words. I was getting absolutely battered, and I was turning away, and the coach was like, don't turn away. And I was like, okay. Back to the grindstone, I suppose. But out of all this, like, you know, you'd get good instruction and all that good stuff. But it wasn't until I started doing jiu-jitsu specifically that I felt like, okay, if something never happened, you know, and thankfully it never has, but well, things that you want to go into in a podcast, yeah, maybe we'll ease into these ones. But
The ATM story is okay.
the ATM story is okay, yeah. We must touch on that because that's like,
That's quite funny.
yeah, it's actually pretty much the core of what we teach the beginners as well. I've had to mug people at ATMs. No, not had to mug people at ATMs, but
These are powers for good.
yeah. But I never really felt that I'd be able to keep myself very safe until I got comfortable doing jiu-jitsu. I was like, okay, you know, it really takes the unpredictability out of situations. If you can do A, B, and C, you know, you can close the distance, you can maybe put them on the ground, and especially if you're the person on top, tremendous. You're controlling the situation. But even if you're the person on bottom, you've ways to get up and get out of there. And for me, that always was always either in the front of my mind or the back of my mind when I'm doing anything in jiu-jitsu. I want to come in and teach the foundations crowd that, like, if they do nothing else other than these 12 weeks, that at least if something ever happened, they'd have an idea of what to do that wouldn't hopefully put them in any worse situations than they already are in, you know. And
Physically and legally.
yeah, exactly.
You don't
Exactly.
have to knock someone out to control them and defend yourself. You can put them down. with the
Exactly.
cops.
Exactly. But you got injured, you were saying early days with a triangle. For me, I think I just had an overriding thing, like I'm a heavyweight at the best of times. The idea of inverting or having a big man on top of me with me in a kind of a position where my neck or my back or my joints are compromised, it never really struck a chord with me as a good thing to do. So I always preferred to be on top or to be in the real simple guard positions like close guard or half guard. I didn't like the idea of any of the more complex ones where this whole situation is held together with my ligament in my knee, you know. So you'll never see me play some of the more long range open guard games. My preference, and I'm trying to train myself out of this, but my preference is always to try to stand back up. And even if I get taken down, that's fine. I'll probably find a way to get back to half guard or close guard quicker than I'll commit to like a protracted war in a long range open guard game. Like I like single leg X and X, but they seem to be pretty mechanically solid ones. But you'll never see me do any of the more flashy inversions. It's not in me. It's not in me. But this is probably, you know, through the coming in with that as like a kind of a guiding star about how I approach jiu-jitsu and teaching the foundations classes and, you know, having a little bit of competition experience and then having injuries as well and putting them all together. You kind of go, okay, here's a recipe that you can use should something be happening at an ATM or in a jiu-jitsu match for your first time. You know, we'll give you like a little simple recipe of things that we know work reasonably well for most people most of the time. You know, I don't like to do anything that relies too much on athleticism. Calories is my preferred attribute to rely on there, you know, so get on top and use the calorie advantage or the caloric advantage to achieve the objective. But for me, the biggest spotlight on it and the technique and the grinding pressure was actually, and it's what got me focused exclusively on gi jiu-jitsu, was Tyrone's brother, our head coach Tyrone Quinn. His brother Aaron Quinn was preparing for a white belt tournament in the gi, and up to this point I'd never worn a gi, and it was all no gi. And I did athletics growing up. I was probably training twice a day. I was training like 6 days a week, twice a day most of those days, and competing every other weekend and competing domestically in some international tournaments. So I'd always kind of done something that, you know, relied on athleticism. And I also sweat like a beast when I'm doing jiu-jitsu. Rory might be renowned for knee on belly pressure, but I'm renowned for, you know, sweating. So put the two together and like doing no-gi wrestling, like I was successful enough in some scrambles and scenarios. I could get out of some joint locks and stuff. And then Aaron asked me to put on a gi to help him prepare for this match. So I put on the gi and I said, I'll start in close guard. And he was like, cool, and we'll just roll from here. And I remember it's one of these things that I'll never forget. It's like, and I'm just going to do my technique now. And I was like, I'm like, oh, Jesus. Oh, and it really joined the dots for me there that, there's far more to this now than I thought. The gi gave him handles on me and introduced so much more friction that I had to be really technically correct about what I was doing versus what I was actually doing, which was being somewhat athletic and very sweaty. So for me, I was like, okay, there's a lot to this jiu-jitsu. And at that time, I think I was still doing a bit of some striking, and I think I was teaching some of the striking classes.
Yeah.
Just real basic stuff like
Mace stuff, yeah. Shoot box, I guess.
yeah, but like it was real kind of just foundational. This is where you hold your hands. This is how you move forward. But that moment rolling with Aaron, I was like, okay, he can do what he wants to me right now. And I'd had a few experiences as well. In like I used to train in Kokoro in Dublin. They were great gym. I can't even remember how long ago it was. But one of my first classes there was a guy who was at least 40 kilos lighter than me. We were playing a game called Top Man, basically wrestling, and whoever was on top at the end of the round won the round. This guy just ragdolled me. At one stage I was like face down on the mat kind of going, he's on top. I can't do anything here. I think everyone's had the same experience in some fashion. But I was joining all these things together. I was going, oh, okay, let's go. All these experiences. What do we want to do? We want to do gi jiu-jitsu. We want to find a way to get the guy down on the mat. We want to pin him there. We want to make it really predictable. We want things that if they don't work out, don't knock you down the ladder in terms of positional hierarchy or put you at too much risk. That's, putting all those things, I'm probably thinking it out loud now here on a podcast for the first time, but that's probably really molded my game and my approach to coaching, and probably what I still want to get out of jiu-jitsu over the next 20 or 30 years is just refining those core things I like doing down to even fewer techniques, hopefully. You'll never see me invert. You'll never see me invert. I think a truck back take is probably the highest complexity or flash move you'll see me doing.
Like keeping in the 2 or 3 dimensions ourselves, but
Yeah.
needs a 4-dimensional stuff to Tyrone and the boys.
Yeah.
I dabble in it myself now, to be fair, but I've learned the lesson from trying to invert under like larger people, and when they do like this, like just sprawl on you, like it hurts, and you're like, that's why I don't do that. And then you kind of get more reserved with your guard. You know who you can do it with and who you definitely should not do it with.
And that's for me. I don't want any element of compliance in my jiu-jitsu techniques. I don't want something working just because, hey, we're doing jiu-jitsu and you're being saying that, I'm in this kind of semi-compromising position that if you sprawl out, you'll dislocate my hip. I don't want any of that in my game because God forbid you ever have to use it. You want stuff that'll just work, or he'll teach the right things. Like it all works. There's no doubt about it. All the techniques work, but there's certain ones that'll work in more situations than others. And I don't want any kind of real, conditional techniques in my repertoire that would, hurt my already delicate body.
I know that both of you are mainly gi grapplers, which is something I would class myself mainly as a gi grappler. And as you know yourselves, like no gi has like just spread like wildfire. How have ye remained so focused on just training in the gi? Because I think out of the many years I've been training here, I've only seen Ruairi, you training no gi, I think twice. And I always say it's like when you're playing Tekken and you unlock the new skin, it's no gi Ruairi popping in. I don't think I've seen you actually train no gi, Dave.
Well, I slag the really high level guys in our gym who were no gi the whole time. I go, God, you're doing really well. You're getting on really well in the matches. Like, it'd be great to see you start taking this sport seriously and training a gi. For me, I like the gi for so many reasons. It kind of, again, for the whole self-defense part of it, like it resembles day-to-day life a little bit more realistically than a rash guard and, pair of shorts. So there's that part of it. But what I think about I really like the competitive side of jiu-jitsu. I love the matches. I don't get to compete as much as I want to for my poor decision-making capability usually. But yeah, I'm always trying to get back to competing. But one thing about the matches, especially against guys my size and bigger, or even smaller, when your blood's up and you're in fighting mode, the chokes are the thing you can depend on. Like it's I've slapped hands at the start of matches and kind of gone, oh my God, the size of that man's hands, and then like it tracks the whole way up to their, their arms. Like, I'm not trying to Kimura that guy or armbar that guy, If I can get anywhere near a submission, it has to be a choke. So for me, gi and gi chokes, and like for the last couple of years, especially cross collar chokes, that's my jam. I love that, And I think we've talked about this off camera about having kids. Like Ruairi and I both have young children. I've
Not yet.
yeah. I mean,
which rumors are?
It's 2026, Ruairi. The grinding top pressure comes from.
Hold back.
But
That's staying in the podcast.
It should. Where
There's a real us behind the cameras now.
yeah. The mask of slits. Time's limited. When you're a parent, when you're a working parent, you only have so much time to dedicate to it. That for me, I was like, look, I want to do this till I'm in my 80s if I can. I keep coming back after injury after injury. I'm not going anywhere. I'm doing this till I literally physically can't. And I think, what do I see the older grapplers doing? Gi predominantly. And yeah, gi is it, man. Gi is it. Chokes are the way. Slow it all down, pin them to the mat. That's it.
Sweat all over them.
Sweat all over them. Yeah.
Actually didn't wear a gi until 2015.
Right.
Got a brand new gi for John Kavanagh's first visit to us for the affiliation seminar. So I got my black belt in 10 years, technically speaking.
You're a prodigy, really.
Much like a young BJ Penn. But yeah, I actually love no gi as well. And for one of my sporadic comebacks through injury and kids and stuff, I was doing the morning class with the guys in no gi and actually got to love it again. And guillotine used to be a big part of my game.
I remember. Yeah.
And I got to start doing it again. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Back in the old days, submission wrestling, slapping on guillotines, punishing the big heavy belt or heavy white belts. But yeah, no, it's really good. Like it's in some ways, I think people argue that there's less injuries, like less maybe grip injuries and stuff. And I know one of our guys, Johnson, is out at the moment with the elbow and grip related injury from gi, and he's training no gi instead. He reckons it's easier on the body. But it's some more chaotic, a lot more dynamic, and maybe your attributes come into it a bit more.
I think so.
Yeah. So, like for us, like generally speaking, like I think we'll be gi primarily, but I will dabble in no gi occasionally. Yeah, so no, it's a bit of both worlds, but gi is the main squeeze for us, I think.
Yeah. Thinking about the answer finally, actually, I'm not just talking. I want to get back competing. I've been off the competitiveness for way too long. That's the bit I enjoy the most. And just thinking about the amount of time that I have to train, like kids and work and stuff, I want to pick something that I can, focus in on and, and not spread resources too thin.
Yeah.
There's only so many sessions that we can train in a week now. And I actually found, I think I got a bit better at game planning and learning and stitching things together once I actually had kids, because you can't just drop out whenever you want to go training. Everything has to be tightly negotiated. Structure, routine. These are your days. These are my days. So when it came down to training, I probably made the most of the hour or two that I could do it. But it was with the decision of focusing exclusively on the gi, because I want to get back competing, and better to spend the time practicing what's going to hopefully work well on the match down the line than stuff that is really fun. No gi is great fun. I slag it off a good bit. I really enjoy it too. But for me, it's gi. It's gi. It always will be.
And obviously, you just said you missed the competition aspect. Are you hoping to make a return, or?
Definitely. I'm on my 11th comeback at this stage.
Sooner, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want to spend too much of a podcast talking about injuries and that sort of stuff. But hopefully, there's a few things to take away from it. When you're injured, because you can't do a combat sport and not get injured. Hopefully it's not malicious. Usually isn't. Definitely not in this gym. But you're going to get hurt. It's a foregone conclusion you will get hurt. There was times I took time off for stuff that I could have trained through. There was time where I didn't take off time and respect injuries that I should have. And on the balance of things, I love that feeling of stepping onto the mats and kind of looking across at the guy you're going to have a match with and kind of going, did I prepare for this? you know, is this going to go well? I love that feeling, you know, of it's just you, them, the ref. You know, sometimes you can hear your corner, sometimes you can't, but that's the bit that I really like. I go, all right, money where mouth is. Did we actually prepare for this one, or did we wing it? I had a bit of a habit of winging it, and that's how I actually hurt the ACL. I just, I think I was technically prepared, but not physically prepared. I was off the mark. But yeah, the real kind of message from me is, when things are going well, make hay while the sun shines. Compete if that's what you like doing. Even if it's not what you like doing, like I'd encourage everyone at least once or twice to do a match just to see against a fully resisting opponent that isn't your training partner, that doesn't know your game, you don't know theirs. How does it go? I think it's a hugely valuable experience for everyone. But if you're into that, if that's the bit of the sport that you like, do it as much as you can, because life gets in the way, you know, sickness, family commitments, work commitments, injuries. Like the minute you have kids, you're going to really go, jiu-jitsu is fantastic, but, you know, putting the kids to bed is more fantastic, you know, so you're going to do that instead of jiu-jitsu. It's always there, but like, you know, when you have the time, if you're in shape and if you like competing, just compete every weekend. I'm on the next journey back after the whole myocarditis heart challenge. I'm just trying to get back to matches, and when I do get there, probably another learning is I probably from doing athletics growing up, I liked to work really hard in sessions, and what I learned and what I've had kind of confirmed over the years, I don't recover particularly well between sessions. And I had a habit of missing a bit of time of jiu-jitsu for work or for family, coming back in doing rounds that I probably wasn't best prepared for, picking up another silly little injury and whatever. So when I do get back, it's probably like a lower level of intensity, but more consistent, and then just compete. I'll compete every weekend once I get back in shape, you know. But I've definitely learned that, look, when you do compete, you do need to do that prep work first. The last time I got injured, I didn't do the prep. It was the only time in a match I've ever been injured. Done a good few matches over the years, and never just lucky, I suppose. Never got injured, apart from this time. So backing out of that, it was like, look, this is the fun bit for me, the real fun bit. Prepare for it, but then when you're in the position to do it all day long if you can. You know, compete if that's your jam.
Have you competed much, Ruairi, actually?
Yeah, not since COVID, really. Actually, not at all since COVID. Yeah, I was really getting into a nice rhythm there for a while, but then COVID intervened, and having kids in your late 40s, which is, it's a challenges of its own, really. But yeah, I'm looking to get back into it. And like when you get your black belts, there's a big element of imposter syndrome. I think I won't feel sort of comfortable in the belt until I sort of hang with my peers, you know, the Masters 8, whoever the hell it is now. But yeah, no, it's definitely something that's on the rise with me. And I, as sort of a leader in the club as well, you feel obliged to just occasionally step on the mats and show what you're teaching, what you're representing is actually real. And you can get in there and mix it up, you know.
And as you've both touched on, you're both parents. How hard is it to get the balance right to do? Because I know you coach as well. You're doing your own training. You have families. You have work. Like, it's a balancing task.
There is no balance.
Like I said, you were told to fall asleep in this couch, man. It's a treat for us to sit down for 2 hours and just Jeff.
Okay, perfect. And is the goal in time to have the kids train jiu-jitsu, train some form of martial arts?
100%, yeah.
My daughter started here. She loves it. She was doing dance and gymnastics and some other stuff, and I was collecting her from the dance class one day, and she just wasn't enjoying it. I was like, do you want to start jiu-jitsu? She's like, yeah. And then she came down. Emma had to bring her down. My wife brought her down. And I was in work in Dublin, and I got the text. She was crying. And I was like, oh no, did she not like it? I go, what happened? She goes, oh, she was crying because I came to collect her. She loved it here. She loved the vibe. Like, you couldn't pay me enough to coach the kids' classes. I love coaching adults. I love coaching. Just with kids, I have no desire to coach the kids' classes. But Lyndon and Tyrone are fantastic with the kids. You know, I've watched some of the kids' classes, and like, just everyone's happy. Everyone's getting it. Like, they're getting like, even the younger kids, they're getting the technical bits, but they're having such a good time, you know. So she's already started. I can't tie my shoelaces now without having some surprise attack from, like, at the bottom of the stairs, I'll tie my shoelace, and like she'll from 8 steps up, she'll have jumped and picked up a rear naked choke with hooks in straight away. So she loves it. I'd say you've been coaching the guys since day.
They're doing it already. Just don't know they're doing it.
Yeah.
And big guy loves this sort of like, it's like tickles, and like little takedowns. He can break like a collar tie on the underhook now as well. He's fights way out of it. The small fella though, I'm actually considering maybe not teaching him. He's probably on a Terra watch list already or something. That fella, so could be dangerous teaching him. But yeah, no, they will be here for sure. And like there's another sort of baby boom underway in Lakeland at the moment. So it's gonna be cool seeing all the second generation of the coaches and kids and friends and people coming up together. It's gonna be a cool few years. Hopefully future club will be our offspring as well,
Absolutely. And quick question for you. What's harder, coaching the beginners or negotiating with the kids? You don't have to answer.
Yeah. I think we both had the same thought. I think we align with the White House policy of not negotiating with terrorists. Yeah, so coaching adults that want to be here and learn a thing, far easier. I love coaching as well. Like I like the competitions for sure. I love coaching. I've been really lucky actually with the club, been able to coach because like with the time commitments that I have for other stuff, I only get to do certain things, and I get to do my whole game. Now my game is very, very simple. I'm not going to. I get the privilege of being on your podcast. As I said at the start, I'm a big fanboy. I love it. I listen to every episode. This is my commute. If it's between you and modern wisdom, it's you all day long. But it doesn't mean that I am some sort of high level jiu-jitsu practitioner. You're just trying to let me come on the podcast and talk about it. So like it's real basic techniques that I like. That's all I want to teach. But I got to kind of explore that a lot more with the coaching and kind of look at a class of 30 people and go, shit, that works really well for me sometimes. And that half are getting it, that half aren't getting it. And then you start to unpack the move and break it down and break it down and break it down. You're like, oh, I'm doing something that I'm not even describing here with words. I need to find a way to describe that. And then you learn the techniques even more. So for me, it was just like whittling down like a limited skill set, whittling it down even further. Like I think we're lucky in the gym. We've such a broad range of coaches. Like you get different looks from all of them. Like Seth, myself, and Roy, like kind of the gi top pressure grinding game. Where you've got Lyndon and Tyrone that just have all the horizontal learning. I like a couple of verticals on gi chokes and pressure passing, and that's why I get my Bernardo Faria personation. I don't know how many over under instructionals I've watched, but like we've such a diverse range of coaches that you get every sort of a look, every sort of a build. But for me, it's been brilliant to be able to kind of go, right, these are the limited techniques I like to use. I've picked them because I want to do them in matches, or I've had some success in matches with them. I want to be able to do them in 30 years. Again, I'm not going to be inverting anytime soon, but getting to coach and getting to see how people pick it up and see how they learn it and see where you're missing detail or you're missing a cue to help them get it. It's tremendous. It's a lot of fun. It's helped me immensely sculpt my game and bring me on as a coach as well. Like coaching people is great crack. I started on a bit of a tangent. I started coaching when I started a job where I had to help a team, like manage a team, and I went from not knowing how to stand up in front of a group to kind of going, right, there's 30 guys and girls here coming in to learn how to defend themselves in some scenario. I better get this right. So like it was doing the two and in concert really helped me in both arenas. Like my professional life has benefited so much from doing jiu-jitsu, like coaching and even just like competing and learning under pressure. It's immensely helped my professional career as well. And being able to stand in front of 30 people and say, look, here's what we're doing today. We're going to learn this particular variant of a gi choke, and here's why you should care. Here's how we're going to go about it. And then at the end of it, seeing them all getting it. Like I've probably talked to death about competing and not having competed in so long now and itching to get back. But my other thing that I love to hear in a class that makes me so happy is when I hear someone cough across the mats from like an Ezekiel choke or a cross collar choke, I'm like, I'm ear to ear and beaming. It's the best feeling ever for me, you know. But yeah, just to bring it full circle, you can't teach a 6-year-old a cross collar choke. You know, they want to be running and jumping and tumbling and stuff. So yeah, coming into a room full of people that want to be here and learn the thing that you're trying to teach them, it's way easier. It's a lot of fun.
I've coached kids as well, so it's way preferable.
Yeah.
Even adults who can actually understand you and give you feedback, that's definitely the way to go. The guys are great, Tyrone and Lyndon and Sean Sabnett as well. Our new coach, Sean Weisenberg. He's a natural as well, so you need to have the touch for it, I think. It's very taxing, very challenging, but give me beginners any day.
For sure. Yeah. Adults, beginner adults.
Yes.
Yeah. But actually seeing the guys with the kids and the way that they teach the class and the fun that everyone's having, and you can see that they've got a kind of a knack and a growl for it, you know. Same with Sean, you know, he seems to have spent a lot of time learning about learning and learning about teaching, you know. Exciting times now for where the kids' classes and the gym is going.
Yeah, they're flying
in general, you know.
Next generation.
It's the games isn't it? It's kind of similar to like the CLA method, isn't it? Like they're building the jiu-jitsu in, but having fun at the same time.
Yeah, which is something I've tried to sort of bring into my own adult classes as well, gamifying things. But yeah, so the kids was a good preparation in hindsight for that as well.
And do you think in time, when your kids are older, that you'll aim to teach them, or will it be the type of thing where they're like, Dad, I'm not going to listen to you. You don't know what you're talking about, as you have a black belt hanging around your waist?
Almost certainly the way it's going to be as a natural order of things.
It is. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But we're lucky that we have such a good gym to bring them to, that, you know, you can trust that they'll get the right instruction, you know. I think there's like here's me talking about something I don't understand at all, but like there's like a genetic thing that happens to girls at a certain age where they go, you don't know what you're talking about, Mum and Dad. And it's like it's a drive to get them to move out of the tribe to, you know, make sure that the gene pool is getting diverse enough, you know, that it's not all local, but like it kicks in, you know, early enough, and it's to try to encourage them to move away. And like, you don't know anything past a certain age. Like my daughter's 6 now, and I'm starting to see glimmers of the future. So I was like, yeah, glimmers of rebellion. So yeah, there's something there to just plan for it and go, right, let's put them in the best place anyway, which is here, I think, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're blessed in Lakeland to have such phenomenal coaching. Like I've done nearly a classes with everyone that's kind of coached here, and as you were saying, like you can take elements from it. Like
it's cool.
For me, I always take the collar drag and the truck from the class I've done with you. Ruairi is just like immense knee pressure and just doing like judo style throws. Tyrone and Lyndon, I'm always picking their brains about like different forms of guards or invert, and I know the guards you don't like, it's all that thing. Like
they don't work either.
Yeah,
to be honest, like.
On nonsense.
But it's great having such a diverse coaching team here, and especially for the next generation like coming up, they're going to be exposed to so many different styles that like when it does come to competition when they're older, if they do decide, well, obviously if they don't want to do it, or if they do want to do it, same with like new members when they join, like they're going to have so many different takes on the game that they're not going to be meeting something for the first time and being like, what is this?
I was talking with my wife before I came on, and like I have zero concept of time. I have to write down my birthday to be able to remember it. Do you know what I mean? But it's like the guts of 20 years I'm doing some form of martial arts, from Thai boxing to jiu-jitsu or something. And one of the things I was thinking about, and the fun that we had back in the early days, like we are maybe, I don't know, when we hear some of your guests on the podcast, maybe not as early as them for sure. Like they're like absolute pioneers.
So we're second generation.
Yeah.
Sport.
Yeah. Kind of, we're definitely here, but like it was still, you know, in certain areas there were like really established gyms. There definitely wasn't here. Like we were so lucky to have Pat Connell teaching what he was teaching. You know, it's like a master class in wrestling you get from the man every session. Like it was tremendous. But it's still kind of that way in the gym. You know, I know a lot of the guys are doing really well now in some of the bigger competitions, and I think that's only going to continue. You're going to see a lot more out of Lakeland Jiu Jitsu over the next 5 or 10 years. But reflecting on where we started out and the fun that we had, there's something so valuable from what we did and went through to get to where we are today, that when I see how, not easily, but how quickly we can turn someone from not having done any martial arts into effective and going out and doing a a match and winning, and maybe missing some of the hard lessons. Like we spent, no lie, an hour in close guard one evening. I didn't know much else of what to do. I knew I couldn't let him pass, and like I was like, no way. And we didn't really use timers back then. But like when I look at what the gym now has to offer to someone coming in, like teach you lots of different techniques, lots of different ways of doing things, and how quickly they can progress to be an effective grappler. It's really cool. It's but when I compare it back to the fun that we had, I think if you're going to be dumb, if you're going to be
dumb, you got to be tough.
Yeah, there was definitely a good element of that now, and I think I learned an awful lot of hard lessons coming in and running with these guys. Like you guys were doing like proper jiu-jitsu. I was kind of doing
first time, I suppose.
Yeah, I was doing like little bits of techniques and just getting absolutely mauled. And then when I lived in Dublin and trained in SBG, I would, if my time was limited, I would always bias it towards the beginner classes. Like the advanced class is great. You get to roll, you get to learn more novel techniques, but like there was stuff like, clear and collar ties. And this is probably more of a personality defect than anything else, but like for a long time, I'm ashamed to say, someone's got a collar tie on me, or they've got like control of my head and guard, I'd pull through it. I'd try my best to pull through it and just have a really sore, tired neck, and they were just teaching like simple little paw the hand off, and like we've taken all that knowledge and woven it in, and all our coaches have such good techniques that seeing people come in the door now, they can get to where it took us much longer to get to way quicker.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also tremendous to be a coach here as well. Like as I was saying, like I get to kind of work on my game, and it's very simple, and it's the foundation was part of the foundation cycle as well. But like I'll get to a spot and I'm like, Ruairi, I've very limited knowledge on collar sleeve, or I'm struggling on this step, or like Tyrone, here's where I'm getting caught in something, and then instantly I get like a gem of knowledge, and the other side with the thing is like the guys are so bloody knowledgeable that, but then this can happen, and then that can happen, and then this, and they're like, no, stop. I've got the little nugget that I need now to keep going. That's enough for me for now. I'll come back to you when I need a little bit more. And just lock in the little gems. But like there's not been a time that I've rolled with you or Tyrone that I've not got if you try this little thing on your pressure passing now, it's going to work so much better. That's I think from watching the podcast, you ask, where's your gym going? What do you think the future of jiu-jitsu is? Are we going to preempt that now and just, man, I can't wait to see where we are in 5 years in the gym. We were white belts teaching white belts. There's tons of black belts in the gym now. There were some foundations classes where they were packed out with more color belts and white belts at one stage. I was like, this is tremendous, but where will we be in 5 years? If we can kind of keep what we've got going on now, it's going to be amazing. Yeah.
Even though, like, coming into a gym nowadays, like, there's no scraps of carpet on the floor, or
dodgy
heavy bags hanging off the wall.
Like we're sitting on a spun mat.
Floor, yeah.
It's a
walls repeating.
Yeah.
A whole gym over there, a sauna, a cold dip. Like, it's back in the day, that was a pipe dream for us. Something we thought about. Just, can we train in a dusty unit and covering concrete dust?
And it was just for love of doing jiu-jitsu. Like it's great. Like as we were saying earlier on, like with the whole SBG thing, like we just wanted to train jiu-jitsu. We wanted to be a club. It worked out well for us that we could affiliate and help with belts, but that was pretty much all we wanted. We wanted a seminar or two and help moving on the belts so that we could progress. But then seeing Tyrone come and take this on full time, it's been great to see the development of the gym. Like as we said, we're sitting on a sprung floor, it's.
And that full-time guys at the gym as well is the whole level up. Like the guys are so good, like Tyrone, Davey, Lyndon, Casper, Sean, like having those guys who are such experts in their field, and brings the whole level of the gym up.
Yeah.
I always remember from going to your classes, you were saying about the self-defense element and how it is applicable. And I did mention it in the first episode of the podcast, how if someone was throwing strikes, like you're blocking your head, and then if they throw the punch, like you block it, pin them to the wall, get your double unders and head into the chin. And like it does show that like the self-defense element in jiu-jitsu, it can be applied in real life. And you did hint at an ATM story, so I'd really like to hear that.
Yeah, I think actually from starting martial arts is the only time I've ever had to do any sort of use of it or make use of it.
Well, kids, just so you can't tell.
Yeah, so for the on the record ones, right? We were coming back from a comedy event in Dublin, and one of our party was getting some cash out from the ATM, and what I can only describe as, and we'll all get it, I think, is the guy that'll come to an MMA beginner class day one, and he'll have the full UFC Apex Venom outfit, be balding, be out of shape, be very aggressive but ineffective. That type of guy just came up to one of the guys at the ATM and not to rob him, we just wanted to pick a fight. Like, obviously loaded with booze. We were at a comedy event. We were, not on that sort of a night out, and just intervening gently, but playfully, we'll say. It kind of showed me how all the stuff that we do in the kind of foundation cycle actually has a home. So like, this guy just seemed to want to fight, but like couldn't fight. You have to kind of set the terms here, the scene. Like, definitely couldn't fight. Didn't give an opportunity to fight, mind you, but definitely couldn't fight. But he was just been really aggressive and just been a bit of a dickhead, basically. I was like, look, we'll settle this down now. So I was just kind of managing distance and going, come on now, calm down. You'll never hit anyone from there anyway. Just give it a rest. Come on, we'll all just go home. And time came just to kind of just settle it all down. So just kind of cover the distance like we do in the foundations class. Got double underhooks, whooshed them up against what I thought was a solid wall. Turned out to be the door of a club that was after closing, and just pinned them there. Got double underhooks and forehead under the chin and just like, come on now, calm down. This is where we are. Till calm down. And the bouncers came out. And they were like, what's going on? I go, we're just calming this lad down now. It'll be done in a few minutes. And they were, seems like you have it here. They went back in then. And it was just like he was not really able to do anything, but it was just the basics kind of, in action. Probably against a guy who couldn't fight, but probably against a guy loaded with drink who did want to fight. And it was, once I kind of had pinned him against the wall and just give him a little bit of a squeeze and stood him up straight with the forehead under the chin and just kept him there for a second. And he's like, get off me. I'm going to do this, that, the other too. I was like, you're not really though. Like, we're here for a little while now. We should just calm down now. And like, you can see the fight went out of him. And it all settled down. But it was kind of it's what we do in the beginner class. Is like, look, hey, this might happen right on the street, or you might fall out with the significant other overdoing the dishes and you need to deal with incoming strikes. Here's what you do. Close and it's just the basics of jiu-jitsu. Just take out the chaos, close the distance, get good controls. If it's not working there, take it down a step,
No damage meter thing. But
and no damage, that
legal.
That was it, it was like fairly tame, fairly harm. I was enjoying the whole thing. Like, I had no ill intentions at all. It was just like, settle this down now. This doesn't need to be a big fight, but it was fun to, see that, Jesus, this works really well, works really, really well. And let the guy go and go, come on now, we'll all shake hands. And yeah, it was all fine. We were all leaving on good terms. And he gets to maybe like the other side of the gym and down the road. Well, it's only because there was two of you. And like, the other guy that he had started on was like kind of just laughing at the whole thing, going, come on, calm down. Like, you're out of line here, mate. Just fucking relax, will you? And then, it's just it's men. Do you know what I mean? And I see it in coaching as well. And I'm no better myself, but like, men think they can fight by default, give drink, fighting capability goes through the roof. It's never there. It's all in their heads. And like, I see, like, I could probably see the same as well, coaching women. They listen to exactly what you have to say, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. They'll listen and they'll give it a good stab. And like, with some lads, you can see, like, you're coaching them through the step. They're asking, why isn't this working? And you're showing them, but you can see it in their eyes. I know how to fight. There's that thing in men, like, I know how to fight anyway. Like, you're just helping me out here a little bit, It's only some people, but definitely that guy. But like, yeah, got down the road a little bit. And yeah, it's only because there was two. It's tremendous. Yeah.
From teaching the beginners class, have you ever come across anyone that's similar to that mentality as that guy? Like, like, I know how to fight. This jiu-jitsu stuff won't work.
Absolutely. I think in
over again.
The peak years of McGregorland, you could, without a doubt, bet on a crazy message at 3 or 4 in the morning, especially if there was fights on. Lads loaded with drink, oh, I want to be the next Conor McGregor. Can I come down and train with you guys? Can I fight him?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like, when can you come training?
Oh, can't
Come training, and I can get a lift in. It's like, okay, cool. So we'll start you doing jiu-jitsu, and then maybe you can try the striking classes, and then maybe we can put it all together in MMA, and there's MMA coaches here that'll talk you through all that, teach you some jiu-jitsu. Can I fight next week? And yeah, there's guys like that, and then they come in and train, and like I think we've all been humbled numerous times. I continue to be humbled when I roll here, this gym. Sometimes they get humbled and become part of the family. Sometimes they get humbled and you don't see them again. You'll see them in a boxercise class, slapping pads.
those guys never last. They just fall in their heads, really.
Yeah. And on the other side of it, have you seen anyone walk into the gym and just from maybe the first, second class, you're like, this person has potential. Like if they stick at it, they will get a black belt.
Yeah. And there's two different archetypes there, I'd say, as well. It's guys like, say, your fellow Longford man, Aaron Quinn. Like, first time I walked up with that guy, I knew, like, he's a specimen and he's a smart guy as well.
Yeah.
And just built for grappling. And I know he's taking a bit of hiatus at the moment, but someone like him, like comes from GA or from rugby or something, or previous martial arts experience, yeah, they're naturals, just going to breeze through it.
Need to get him on the podcast as well. I'd say he'll have some good stories.
Great character. Then the other one would be someone like yourself, I'd say. Maybe not. Fuck him, sorry, Aaron. Maybe not as gifted physically as some like big Aaron. Yeah. But who's cerebral and will take things on board and has a good mind for it. And with you, I also noticed you asked the right questions and they're always insightful and in the context of what we're doing. And like someone like you, yeah, you're going to be a black belt for sure. No doubt. And you are from very early on. Yeah. You were just at right attitude. You wanted to learn. You wanted to compete a little bit at the start as well.
And you do the thing you were asking about as well.
Yeah. Like you ask good questions, you've curious mind, and you're committed to it. Obviously, you love the sport as well.
To the point where I have my own podcast about it.
Cool. Yeah, and guys like Paul Timoney as well, who wouldn't be with the stereotypical tough guy grappler, but
he's a beast.
Yeah,
he's an absolute beast.
Artistic little dude, and
yeah,
a pretty good man to pick someone on the street, like picking a fight with a chimpanzee or something.
Yeah,
there's guys who are sort of maybe more cerebral, and then guys who are just pure natural athletes. Yeah. There's a place for everybody on that spectrum in BJJ. Yeah.
And has there ever been a point where you've seen someone who's actually really, really good at it and then they just disappear? How disheartening as a coach is that?
We sort of, we give someone a blue belt, there's a good chance that's getting him over, unfortunately.
That's the meme, isn't it?
Yeah. Like it's a thing that happens. I think it's such a big milestone for people in their minds before they get there. And the achievement's like, pop the mountain now. I'm done, I got a blue belt, I can walk away into the sunset. But yeah, like there are people like Rachel, our friend, she'll come back to us eventually, I'm sure. Like she was personally on the cusp of getting her blue belt. She quit. Natural talent, would have been her first female ranked belt.
Yeah.
Plenty of people over the years, great athletes. It just goes to show, like, there's just probably a filter there somewhere. Like you might have the attributes, but maybe the mindset's not right.
And the attrition that goes along with it anyway.
Yeah.
It's a...
Look, I know it's the struggle for most gyms is retention, but in fairness, we've been doing very well the last couple of cycles. Got a good crop of white belts now, and they've pretty much all switched on and committed to it. I think we got a good crop of blue belts out there eventually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And hopefully they won't leave us. We have to, maybe that's the next sort of stage of retention, find a way to keep the blue belts engaged,
I had a real eye-opener as well. Couple of maybe years, again, I have no concept of time. I have to preface this, but it was early days. We were bringing one of our first big teams to a tournament, and I think we had all coached all of them in some classes, and the way you're thinking, oh, this one's very good at that one's very good at this, very surprised that one wants to compete, doesn't kind of talk about that at all, doesn't seem interested in it, but there they are competing. And you make your picks based on what you're seeing in the gym, and there were certain picks that we made that are going, oh, definitely going to do really well and medal, and put it all together, the technique, the resistant opponent, the match, the stress, the pressure, and the hidden element of the kind of the mental aspect of it, deer in the headlights. There were people that you thought would have done really well and had a hard time. And of those ones that had a hard time, some of them came back, some of them didn't. Some stuck with it and kind of progressed way faster than they would have had they not had the bad experience. But then the other crowd that you're like, great to see them taking the leap, and then you see them do really well, and it's like the other elements, like the technical, the physical, the mental, they just, whatever they had, they could put it together really well on the day. And it was real eye-opener from a coaching perspective to see, oh, that's a big thing in performance as well, that, you know, you can show someone all the technical moves of how to get into an arm bar or out of an arm bar or whatever it is, but, you know, putting it together under pressure, and like rolling in the gym is pressure enough, you know. I think we're at it so long that I think it was in one of the recent beginner cycles, we were asking some questions about how they felt coming into the gym for the first time, and people were saying, well, it's kind of intimidating walking into a martial arts gym. And I was like, do you know what? I think it was as well. Yeah, there was. Yeah, but now that we're set up in the gym, everyone's your friend. Everyone's really sound. Everyone wants the best for you here. It's great. It's a great environment. But yeah, seeing that performance in the tournaments was a real eye opener for coaching for me. And it kind of gave a few cues into who'd stick around and who'd come back.
Yeah, so you were talking about the intimidation of walking into a fight gym for the first time. We were back in Spottville Lane, the dark stairwell. We had a big beginner's course, and gosh, it was great. We had 50 people on the mats that night. But I walked up the stairs, I think Christian or yourself were coaching or something. There was like 12 people in a tiny little stairwell in the darkness, huddled like together like sheep. It's like, what's going on, guys? Oh, I think the door is locked. I said, no, there's a task going on. So I just opened the door for them. I just pushed the door, shook them all in. These people are so terrified by the idea of walking into a fight gym. And that they just stop altogether, all strangers, stand together in a stairwell in darkness. Terrified of just that one step of pushing the door open and walking in. But look, some of them actually, they turn out to be long-term members. Others disappear, but just shows you that it is an intimidating thing. We're so far removed from our beginnings in it that we forget what the environment looks like to people on the outside. But that's why this gym is great. People come in here and they realize very quickly that it's a very chill place and very welcoming and helpful coaches, helpful teammates.
I think a lot of places have to work on the vibe that Ty kind of naturally has established in the gym.
I think Tyrone's personality is infused into the place, really, so it's a positive thing.
Yeah, because I've gone to a few different gyms, and I'm not going to name names, but when you go in, like, it's very, like, you'd walk into the mat and people are bowing as they step on, like, yeah, that's cool, but then, like, they line up in, like, their belt colors and they're not even talking to one another. And there's you, like, stretching, and they're looking at you as if to be like, what are you doing? Have you permission to do it? And you're like, come on. And then when you come in here, like, the lads are chilling on the mats, they're chatting, and they call you over and like, what's your opinion on such a thing? And you're just so chilled and relaxed. It's such a welcoming environment.
It is. And I like some of the whole bowing culture. I think there's bits that we shouldn't forget, you know. We don't do it here, and I don't think we'll ever do it here. It doesn't need to be done here, but there's definitely value in it. But yeah, I think we're just lucky with the vibe that's been established here, and it's just I find it hard to reconcile going down to the gym with my friends and having a laugh doing jiu-jitsu right back to starting off martial arts and going, Jesus Christ, this could be, what am I walking into here, you know? And then just to hear the next batch of beginners having the same thing, it's like, oh no, be in the door 10 minutes, you'll see it's not like that at all. Like, you know, everyone's friendly, everyone's super helpful. Like, I was coaching I was coaching something to do with straight foot locks, and there was a bit of a weird position that I was like, actually, Tyrone, could I ask you a question for a second? Like, in the middle of class, I was like, let's keep moving. They were over just talking. I go, what happens in this position if he goes and rolls that way? Is it DQ? You know, it's such a good environment for learning, whereas I think in more structured places like that just wouldn't fly. It wouldn't work. But yeah, we're lucky, I think, where we are, you know.
Yeah, especially with the coaches and everyone here, like black belts, brown belts, like everyone is so open to sharing knowledge, which is fantastic. And one of the questions actually, Roy, I want to ask you is, you got your black belt back in November of last year. What did it mean to you to actually get the black belt after so long?
It's kind of surreal when it's still sinking in a bit. Like, I knew in advance, Tyrone told me I'd be put up for a black belt, and I was like back when me and Brendan got our brown belts, Brendan said to me just before the Ironman, he said, I'm not ready for this. I said, and neither am I, but it's not up to us. So we really let go of that tension of chasing belts or whatever, or not being ready. Or so same thing with black belt. I was like, okay, I know I'm going to get this. It's up to Tom's, up to Tyrone. It's out of my hands. So it was the day you wait for so long, you can't really envision what it will actually be like. But when it came around, it was surreal and still is. And it's sort of liberating in some ways. Like I never really chased belts. Maybe the blue belt because I felt I had to. I was past that level already. I sort of needed to get blue belt to sort of.
About 10 years, wasn't it?
Well, it was 10 years, but okay, we were at a level where it wasn't fair for us to win the competition against raw white belts. So blue belt was one I sort of wanted to get just to tick that box. Purple, I was sort of looking forward to as well. But brown and black, I didn't want them. I considered pulling the sickie for the black belt. I really did. I didn't feel ready or worthy of it, and in some ways, I still don't. But I think I'm going to hopefully grow into it, and I think big thing for me is like a mission of giving back what I've learned to the new beginners and other teammates. So it's like I sort of subsume my own sort of ego into the whole duty thing and serving the black belt, serving the club. For me at the moment, that's sort of my motivation and my interpretation of the black belt. It's just, I guess, a recognition of time spent as well. Like we're at a long time. Maybe something that inevitably happens after a few years and it can't kill you. You don't run away. You should get a black belt. But like, I'm sort of, there's me as a coach and me as an individual, as a maybe competitor in the future. That'd be a different thing. I sort of won't feel in myself a legitimate black belt until I start hanging with people in my own division. Hopefully win a couple of medals here and there. But like the other side of it is like I've passed that, the last threshold. Now for me it's like a new beginning. I'm not feeling like a white belt completely, but I've nothing to prove anymore. I've sort of done my time, got the rank. Now sort of exploration of other things and really going deeper into areas of interest for myself, finding new areas of interest, trying to hone them, and ultimately trying to pass on all that knowledge to my students as well.
Fantastic. And what areas, just out of curiosity, would you be interested in exploring, like now?
Well, over, say, COVID and over time when I was sort of in a bit of a hiatus, like having kids and stuff and being injured, I really delved into the coaching side of things. And because the coach is my primary duty here. So I want to give the best, the most modern, the most reliable methods and techniques to the students and try and get them to where we got much quicker, which is what has happened, I think. So yeah, I delved into like the maybe ecological stuff, different coaching methodologies, listened to a lot of podcasts, read a lot of articles, and I like sort of fringe stuff, like just like Tyrone, the guys have the main stuff, they're way better at me than jiu-jitsu, at jiu-jitsu than me, and so I wanted to maybe pick stuff they weren't really teaching. So a lot of the sort of sambo based stuff, I like Vlad Kulikov, Ivan Bacheluk, guys like that, sort of throws that we wouldn't be teaching. And then guys like, say, Preet Mickelson for the defensive stuff. I like guys with sort of a bit of left field way of thinking about things, like Wim de Putter, Francesca Fonte, guys like that, even Greg Souders, guys who come at things from a different angle, which might help me see things I know already in a different way. And yeah, and if that can help me as a teacher, that's what I'm looking for as well. Pass on better concepts, better techniques to my students as well.
Awesome. And I suppose this is a kind of a question for both of you. We kind of spoke about it off camera that like I express how like coaching is something I would want to get into in the future, whether it's now or in the next few months or years or that. But what advice would you give someone?
Good name, mate.
But what advice would you give someone who's looking to step into that coaching role?
We didn't really make a conscious decision. It sort of was thrust upon us, really. I remember the first day I coached, I was terrified. I think Christian had to go off or do something else. So I spent the first half of the class doing a batch routine workout, thinking about what I'm going to teach after 30 minutes are up. And I did so hard because I had to lead by example. I had to go so I can get sick myself. No, that's so I didn't have some awful half-hour sweep or something. But yeah, it sort of grew upon us. Like by necessity, we had to teach, even though we're still white belts at the time.
Yeah.
I think we've grown into it. And initially, as I started off, I wanted to give value for money to my students. So I teach 12 techniques in class. And I've gone completely opposite from that now. I think teach them one concept, I'm happy. Even part of one concept, I'm happy. So don't overdo it. I think teach them, starting off, and then you get deeper appreciation. You actually will learn more yourself about things you thought you already knew by coaching. And then as your game grows, you can branch out as well. Start with something you know, something you're comfortable with, and something you feel you can explain clearly to them. And you will realize that there's stuff that you sort of internalize. You need to roll back a bit and try and get like a different perspective on it. And for people who haven't had the experience you've had in the position, you need to find a way to express the fundamentals of it in a way they can recreate it. I guess people learn differently. So like people can learn like the physically. People learn by doing. Some people like to be every concept explained to them, John Danaher style, but a bit of everything. Like if you can reach people from different angles, you'll be doing well.
Okay.
When you were saying that bit there, I was thinking about how I learn. I learn through negative learning. I get beaten up with something about 10 times and then it finally sinks in, and I probably go ask you or Tyrone, I'm getting murdered with something just at this little step here. They're like, oh yeah, just do this and fix it. I'm like, oh, that's ingenious. I can join the two things together and go, yeah, that's all the physical experience I had and that's the little gem to fix it. But can you remember, I think it was a gentleman named Kuba in, I think it was Kuba is his name, in SBG. And I think he would have been a brown belt or a purple belt. And I was like, starting off in the gi as a white belt, and I was definitely passing his guard. I wasn't anywhere close to passing his guard. He was just working a kind of like a sacrifice baseball bat choke, and he catches me with it straight away and I tap it. Jesus, I go for the same pass for the same result, and it's one of these memories that just live with me. Probably about the 8th or 9th time, it's like, dude, will you try something different? And I was like, no, it sounds silly, but what I'm doing here is like, I have to see how I have to feel how you're beating me for me to figure this out, So I don't think I figured it out at the time. I did afterwards eventually, but like I learned through the kind of the getting beaten up with it and then going, right, dissect it afterwards. What was I doing? What was he doing? What did it feel like? And I try to weave some of that into the coaching. I like to, like you, just keep it really simple. I'd say when you're starting out coaching, obviously you're going to teach the things that you know work really well for you. Have a good think about why they work really well for you. Is it your attributes? Is it flexibility? Is it, do you like to be the hammer? Do you like to be the sly nail that just when you think you're going to hammer the nail in there, like on top of you and strangle you, because different people have different kind of approaches, some things resonate from like pressure passing with some people, and others are like, no, I want to just triangle lads off my back. Everything else you're teaching me here is superfluous. But have a good think about that when you're, starting out the journey as coaching, like what works well for me and why does it work that way. But then when you start coaching people, you will get all shapes and body types and interest levels. Some people want to come in here and be a world champion. Some people just want to lose a few kilos. They're all equal on the mats, and you're constantly going to be looking, going, I explained that one really well. Look, everyone's getting it. I'm the man. And then you'll come in and in the same day or the same set of techniques, it explains something exactly the same way and it falls to shit and no one's getting, you're like, Jesus Christ, maybe.
Yeah, it feels awful.
It's not a good experience.
Terrible.
And it's just that constant, like what you're doing in jiu-jitsu, you're constantly tweaking and assessing and analyzing. You'll do the same coaching. You're going, okay, I explained something this way, that way. And it worked or it didn't work, and you just constantly tweak it. Or I'd say just be critical with yourself, not in a bad way, but just be analytical and kind of look at the results. I suppose going back to what I was saying at the start, like I really like the competing side of things. I competed a load as a runner. I know it's a completely different sport, but I just loved that scenario. So anything that I was taking the time to learn, and especially taking the time to coach, I was like, look, for me, it has to be something I've either done in a match or want to do in a match or have seen work well in a match, because some of the people will compete and I want to set them up as best I can for success. You want to know that I've not taught someone bullshito. I've taught them, a really good game. And then also to be mindful that you can't run out the same recipe for everyone.
Yeah.
That's why we're so lucky. We've got so many different coaches and different body types and different game types that, look, someone comes in to the foundations, we'll give them the basic horizontal learning, and then there's verticals that they can go down with any one of the coaches and find their perfect game. But for me, that was like a real kind of tenet of coaching. It's like, look, it has to, if I'm going to invest the time making sure I understand the technique well enough, I want to be able to use it as well. I don't, you ever gone to a class and you know that person doesn't do those moves, you know that they've never seen them in a match. You know what I mean? You're learning something that someone learned on YouTube versus you're learning something that someone knows works very well or can articulate it. But yeah, that for me was like the goal was like, look, what can I teach that's going to help someone be effective? And you'll see the results. You'll send a teammate from your Emerald Grappling gym to the first tournament, and you'll see it in the numbers. What worked well, what techniques work well. Some of the best fun I have in jiu-jitsu is any of the lads that go competing. Oh, Dave, I used that thing that you were showing. And I was like, that makes my week. It makes my month. It's like class. That I feel really good about that. And I always try to go, if someone's competing and did well, I go, look, that guy did really well at the weekend and he did this, and here's why it worked. And yeah, like I get a real kick out of that. I love seeing people go to, like, competing is a really hard thing. Like when I listen to people talk about jiu-jitsu, the culture online is like, oh, it's such a grind, it's so hard, it's this, that, the other. Progressing the belts is very hard. Like, it is, don't get me wrong, it's a challenging sport, but it's a load of fun. It's a lot of fun. You'll meet the best people. Like Ruairi was my best man. Do you know what I mean? The first time I met Ruairi, you were breaking me up in an undisclosed fighting location. You meet the best people, the friendliest people. But taking that next step to do a competition is really stressful for some people. Like, it's a huge step up. It's like weeks out. It can make them so tense and ruin their fucking life sometimes. So when you're sending someone out or you're helping them take that step, you want to be damn sure you're showing them something that is going to work for them. And I get a real kick out of that from the coaching, but probably for me as well. This isn't the question that you asked, but more and more, I'm just trying to whittle down to, okay, when I'm doing this under pressure, what's actually do they really need the 12 bits of detail on how to grab that collar, or is it more conceptual? Like, is it just grab the collar? I started, I think it was a John Danaher DVD I was watching recently, where he was like, he wasn't even using the terminology of sweeping. He just like control and knock. And I just thought, like, you could see it was more, you're just trying to, control two posts and knock them over. You're not trying to sweep them or, it was a subtle change in term. I don't even know if this happened. Maybe I'm making it up, but like, certainly for me, it's that's the bit that kind of excites me about coaching. It's just whittle it down to something that's going to work and finding like the one of the 12 steps that's actually going to make a difference for someone.
Amazing. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. I hope that anyone that's listening to this is able to pull some knowledge, whether it's coming back to competition from injuries, strength and conditioning side, what it means to get your black belt. But I suppose the last question I do have for both of you today is, what legacy do you want to leave behind on the mats when you retire from jiu-jitsu?
Participated in episode number 24 of Emerald Grappling Podcast. I have a few questions for you before we go, but God,
I think the way we're going, like, it's a great competitive gym, but it's also a cool place. Like, it's just the vibe is so welcoming and friendly, and it feels like home for everybody who comes in here. And if we can keep that going and keep that culture inculcated in the next generations, then we're happy.
Yeah, I'd echo the same thing. It's where all my friends are.
Yeah.
I love the competitions. They're so much fun. I'd never want to pressure someone to do competition. Do you know what I mean?
So obsessed with competitions.
I am. And I just do one. Yeah, trying so long to get back to it, man. Just go. But like, it's great for personal development. But like, it's what you said. It's the fact that you're part of a gym, and it's such a good set of values that we have here. That that's really the biggest thing to take away. Like, if you drop dead tomorrow, does anyone care that you win a plastic medal in a hotel? Not really. You're judged on how did you treat others, and what sort of interactions did you have with people. And I think from all my experiences in this gym, it's just been positive. Everyone's here to help you. Everyone wants you to do well. If you have a setback, people are rallying behind you and trying to get you moving again. That's probably the legacy I'd like to help support. It's make sure that we can keep that culture going. Before we go,
Yes.
question for you. You usually ask, where do you think jiu-jitsu is going? I've heard that question asked. Where do you think the Emerald Podcast is going?
the podcast.
Podcast, yeah.
It's funny. I've had people kind of ask me about, am I going to do more episodes a month? But as you know yourselves, like I am working a full-time job and balancing everything. It's fun just doing this once a month. Happy to do that. Would I like to do maybe post-match interviews, competitions and stuff? Absolutely. If I'm there to do them, phenomenal. I'll do it. If I'm not sick, I was meant to be at the Money Pit and I was going to do interviews there, but unfortunately, sickness struck the house, so we had to like stay at home. But where I'd like to see it go eventually is to the point where the one goal in my mind actually is the day I get my black belt, I want to do a solo episode and talk about the whole progression from day one, starting off in Lakeland Jiu Jitsu, then going to Longford because that's obviously where I was living, and then that gym closing and to where I am now, and basically distill that information down. I'd love to do that, and hopefully in the future, if I ever decide to get into a coaching role, just like offer episodes where it's just given little.
How have you decided this? You're starting coaching straight away,
Okay,
man.
we're going to be coaching. Tyrone, you know the news. But yeah, I think that's it. I'd like to just keep it going. Obviously, I want to keep training myself to get to the black belt level and just keep giving back. These are the questions on the podcast that I wish I asked when I was a white belt. And I'm hoping that anyone that's listening that's a white belt, maybe if you're a colored belt as well, you can get some knowledge. But these were the questions. If I met someone, heard about them, I want to pick people's brains. And as you said earlier, like I'm always asking like the questions when we're doing techniques, and it's just a general curiosity. So if I can keep that going, I'll be very happy.
I think you're underselling yourself. Like what the people maybe watching can't see is all the setup that went into this. They can't see all the things that are going on here now, and the prep that went in, and the, you know, what comes through in the podcast. Like I listen to it every time I'm in the car, basically. There's a fresh podcast and tremendous. This is going to be an easy commute, you know. The grow you have for it really comes across, you know. I'd love to see like, you know, the way you're doing it in Ireland, you're traveling to different gyms. Cool to see you go into the UK maybe. I know you've been over to like Hodger Grace's Academy, haven't you? It'd be tremendous to see an interview there. I think you have it in you. I think
you never know.
I'd
You
like to
never
see it
know.
go that way as a fan. Like,
From day one, you've been so professional.
Yeah.
You hit the ground running, really. Like it was so slick.
yeah,
Production values, the sound, everything's fantastic. And yourself, of course, you're a natural host. So
Thank you.
onwards and upwards.
Well, it's great to get feedback like this. And as even you know this, and anyone I talk to, like I don't make money off this. I'm doing it just for pure passion.
Yeah.
And I hope to keep
that
it
comes
way.
true.
Yeah.
That comes true. Yeah, it definitely does.
Keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen, again, thank you so much for joining me. And if you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast and you're listening to it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I'd greatly appreciate if you give me a 5-star review. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Once again, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thanks, Aaron. It was a pleasure.